What's going on, everybody? This is Seth Forge here, and today I'm back with another college football prediction video. And this week's matchup or game of the week, we got another barn burner. We got another epic matchup. We got the number 14th ranked Alabama, though the rankings will probably change either today or on Monday. So I know the rankings will probably change. So if you comment down below the rankings are not right, they're going to change. These are from just this past week's rankings. So we got number 14th ranked Alabama going on the road in a hostile environment to face off their rival, number 5th ranked Georgia, the Dogs of Georgia. Sick 'em. That commercial is hilarious. I forget what commercial that was or the company that was, but it was funny. So this game will be on September 27th. It's crazy that next week is the last week of September. It just felt like we just started college football, and now it's week number 5. It's just wild how fast this. We're already halfway through the season, which is just mind-boggling to me. So it's September 9th or September 27th. My bad. At 7:30 p.m. Yes, another night game that I love. Night games, even though the only downside about night games is they get home very late, but night games is always the best atmosphere, in my opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and further ado. Let's go through this slideshow for this game. The location will be at Sanford Stadium. It's a pretty cool stadium. We were in the nosebleed seats right there whenever Georgia played App State a while back. That was pretty cool to watch at Sanford Stadium. So great atmosphere, hostile environment. Their fans are ruthless, and especially if Alabama's going to be there. So that is going to be an intense matchup at the Dog Stadium. All right, so last week, both teams had a bye. So week number 4, Alabama dismantled Wisconsin. That game was just they had Wisconsin's name. Numbers. I don't understand Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell is going to be canned after this year. So they beat Wisconsin in week 3, 38-14. Really solid win for Kellen DeBoer. Hey, he's making a name. He said, "Hey, you guys are disrespecting me," but let's see how well Alabama will do against Georgia this week. But Kellen DeBoer may not be on the hot seat anymore because that was a solid win against Wisconsin, and their record is 2-1. Georgia, boy, that game against Tennessee last week was insane. They went all the way to they came back. It was like 38-30, and they came back and then won in overtime. Joey Aguilar, Gunnar Stockton, and then the whole team was just going off for both sides. It was a crazy game. Georgia won at Tennessee 44-41 in overtime, and Georgia is 3-0 as of now. So both teams, like I said, were on a bye week. So previous meetings, Alabama played Georgia on September 28th of 2024. Alabama beat Georgia at a wild game, 41-34. Alabama, which is crazy because Alabama, I think lost to Vanderbilt 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that. So it's just wild to see. And then they won 41-34. Alabama leads in this rival series, 44-26, with 4 ties as well. So there you guys have it for the previous meeting. All right, so now we're gonna go through the top 3 offensive players and the top 3 defensive players by position. So these were just from last week's game. So Ty Simpson had a great game against Wisconsin. Went 24-29, 382 passing yards, had 13.2 yards per throw of average, had 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Solid day for him last week in week number 3. We got running back Kevin Riley. He had 7 carries, 20 yards, 2.9 per carry, and he had 0 touchdowns. So Alabama this year has struggled yet again with their running game, which is very weird because we all know that Alabama is really solid with the running game. And they had in the past, with Derrick Henry and all those greats, Mark Ingram and all those guys. This age has been strange after Nick Saban left. The last 2-3 seasons, they just have not had solid running backs. So they definitely need to pick that one up against Georgia. So wide receiver Ryan Williams had a great game against Wisconsin. He went 5 receptions, 165 yards of receiving, averaged about 33.0 per catch, and he had 2 touchdowns. So solid game, even though he's heard the critics all the last 2 games of this year. All right, so for Georgia, we got number 14, Gunnar Stockton, who has a great game against Tennessee. He went 23-31, had 304 passing yards, averaged about 9.8 per throw. He had 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Then we got running back Nate Frazier with 14 carries, 73 yards of rushing, averaged about 5.2 per carry, had 0 touchdowns. And we got Colby Young for wide receiver, 4 receptions, 73 yards of receiving, averaged about 18.3 per catch, and had 0 touchdowns for Georgia. All right, for defense, I tried to look up the top 3 defensive or top players against Wisconsin, but they didn't really show all the players, which is kind of crazy on ESPN for defense. So I think these are the only players that were available. So bear with me. We got defensive lineman LT Overton with 6 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 sack. We got linebacker Yonsei Pierre with 7 total tackles, 7 solo, and 1 sack. Then we got defensive back Bray Hubbard with 8 total tackles, 7 solo, 2 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. So Alabama's defense, I think, will be a lot better this year, though the Florida State game was a little weird, but I think they regrouped and had a solid day against Wisconsin. So yeah. All right, so top 3 defensive players for Georgia. By position, we got defensive lineman Jordan Hall with only 3 total tackles. We got linebacker CJ Allen with 11 total tackles, 1 solo, and 1 pass deflection. And lastly, defensive back Kyron Jones with 10 total tackles and 1 solo tackle. Now we go to full team stats for both teams. We got total yards for Alabama. They had 454 yards in total on offense, and they only allowed 209 yards on defense. Passing, they had 382 passing yards on offense, and they only allowed 117 yards on defense, which is pretty solid. Offense for rushing, that is very concerning for Alabama. They only had 72 rushing yards on offense. Not great, especially if you're trying to play against Georgia. Defense, they only allowed 92 yards, which is pretty solid. They had 0 turnovers. They had 7 penalties. That needs to be addressed. Time of possession, they had 28 minutes and 56 seconds, so not too bad for Alabama. Then we got Georgia's full team stats. Total yards on offense, we got 502 yards on offense, and they allowed 496 yards on defense, which that's a little concerning. What do you think? And of course, they had 304 passing yards on offense. They allowed 371 yards on defense because Joey Aguilar, who has definitely impressed everybody, which I knew Joey Aguilar was pretty good because I'm an App State fan. Watching him play at App State, he was always a good quarterback. It's just the team couldn't utilize his ability or his attributes because the head coach at the time was not great. All right, so rushing yards also, like, Georgia struggled with the running game as well. They only had 125 yards of rushing on offense, and they definitely allowed 198 yards on defense. So that is also concerning from both sides, from passing and defense. So turnovers, they had 2 turnovers, they had 5 penalties, and they had a time possession. Oh wow, 38 minutes and 28 seconds of time possession. So there you guys have it right there. All right, so I think my safe bet for this game, I think that Georgia is going to beat Alabama because it's at Georgia, and that environment is tough. And I think Georgia is on a roll this year. They just beat Tennessee, and so that game was crazy. I think it's going to be another high-scoring game. I think that since it's at Georgia, even though, hey, I bet Tennessee to beat Georgia last week, and guess what? Georgia beat Tennessee at home, so Alabama could potentially beat Georgia. So I'm going to go with a safe bet here. I'm going to go, my spread is going to be -3, and then my prediction is going to be 35-32. I think it's going to be another crazy game just like last week because the SEC is the new Big 12 with the high tempo offenses. So yeah, there you guys have it. Seth Ward here. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Will the Dogs win or the Tide win? Comment down below, and see you guys next time. Peace out.